Welcome to Crime Chronicles, where real crime stories come to life. From the world's most dangerous prisons to shocking criminal cases, untold investigations, and the darkest stories ever recorded, we break it all down with facts, detail, and gripping storytelling. The clean version of hell. Inside America's most secure prison, ADX Florence. In the remote high plains of Fremont County, Colorado, roughly 2 hours southwest of Denver, stands a fortress that has earned a chilling nickname, the Alcatraz of the Rockies. Officially designated as the United States Penitentiary, Administrative Maximum Facility, better known as ADX Florence, this is the only federal Supermax prison in the United States. Opened in January 1995, ADX Florence was purpose-built to contain the most dangerous, high-risk, and disruptive inmates in the federal system. These are men whose violence, escape attempts, or influence make them unsuitable for even the toughest maximum security facilities. Former Warden Robert Hood, who ran the prison from 2002 to 2005, famously described it as a clean version of hell. He explained the phrase during a 2007 60 Minutes interview: "The facility is squeaky clean, eerily quiet, and relentlessly controlled. There is no chaos, no overcrowding, and no easy path to human connection. It is isolation perfected, a place of sterile concrete, constant surveillance, and psychological pressure that many inmates feel is worse than death itself." Hood once remarked that when new arrivals step inside, they see the beauty of the Rocky Mountains for the last time. "The Supermax is life after death," he said. "It's long-term. In my opinion, it's much worse than death." As of March 2026, ADX Florence houses approximately 405 male inmates in a facility rated for up to 490, though it has never operated at full capacity. The population has fluctuated slightly in recent years, with some units closed as the Bureau of Prisons (BOP) adjusts operations. The prison forms part of the larger federal correctional complex Florence, which includes other facilities of varying security levels. But ADX stands apart. It is the end of the line, the final destination for those the federal government believes society must never risk encountering again. The birth of a Supermax. The story of ADX Florence begins in the early 1980s at another high-security prison, USP Marion in Illinois. In 1983, 2 correctional officers were murdered in separate incidents by members of the Aryan Brotherhood. The violence exposed dangerous weaknesses in traditional maximum security designs. Federal officials, led by then BOP Director Norman Carlson, decided a new approach was needed: a control unit, where the worst offenders could be isolated completely and monitored around the clock. Construction began in the late 1980s on 600 acres of high desert land. The project cost about $60 million and incorporated hard lessons from Marion's lockdown era. When ADX opened on January 10, 1995, it represented a leap forward in prison technology and philosophy. No longer would dangerous inmates be allowed to mingle or plot in general population. Instead, every aspect of their existence would be engineered for total control. The goal was simple yet uncompromising: 0 escapes, 0 riots, and 0 threats to staff or the public. Layers of unbreakable security. From the outside, ADX Florence looks deceptively modest: low buildings nestled against the plains with the Rockies in the distance. But its defenses are formidable. A 12-foot fence topped with razor wire encircles the complex, backed by pressure pads, laser sensors, motion detectors, armed guard towers, and patrol dogs. Inside, more than 1,400 remote-controlled steel doors seal off every corridor. Hundreds of cameras, many equipped with night vision, watch every inch of the facility. Panic buttons can instantly lock down entire sections. The cells themselves are weapons-proof. Everything is poured reinforced concrete: the bed, desk, stool, and even parts of the shower and toilet. This design prevents inmates from fashioning shanks or harming themselves. A narrow slit window just 4 inches wide by about 42 inches tall offers a limited view of sky or brick, deliberately angled so prisoners cannot orient themselves or signal outsiders. Showers run on timers to avoid flooding. Meals slide through a narrow slot in the solid steel door. There are no traditional bars. Solid walls and airlock-style entrances ensure almost no visual or physical contact between inmates. Staffing is intensive. ADX maintains one of the highest staff-to-inmate ratios in the entire BOP system, with constant 24-hour supervision. Correctional officers are carefully vetted, and direct contact is minimized through remote monitoring and heavy restraints during any movement. The entire facility operates with 6 graduated security levels, ranging from general population units, Delta, Echo, Fox, Golf, to the ultra-restrictive Range 13 and the control unit for the most serious violators. Special housing units and the H unit handle inmates under special administrative measures, SAMs, often terrorists whose communications are tightly controlled. A day in the clean version of hell. For the vast majority of inmates, daily life at ADX is defined by extreme solitary confinement. They spend 23 hours a day locked inside a 7 by 12-foot concrete box. The remaining hour is reserved for recreation, usually alone in a small outdoor concrete pit or indoor room. This space is often described as a cage with high walls and a chain link or solid roof, offering little more than a patch of sky. Exercise might consist of pacing 10 steps in one direction or circling 31 steps, all while shackled. Some inmates earn limited phone privileges, perhaps 15 minutes a month, or a black and white television with restricted channels showing news, educational programs, or PG-rated movies. Meals arrive through the door slot on trays carefully designed to prevent misuse. Showers occur inside the cell on a timer. Medical and mental health checks frequently happen via video link to reduce physical contact. Human interaction is almost non-existent. Even conversations with staff are conducted through thick doors or plexiglass. The facility is famously quiet, no shouting, no clanging, just the hum of fluorescent lights and the occasional echo of a door. Visitors have described walking the hallways as surreal, like moving through a high-tech tomb. Inmates can progress through a step-down program if they demonstrate good behavior. After a minimum period, often a year, they may move to intermediate units like Kilo or Joker, where they gain slightly more freedom. Self-locking cells, limited association with others, or small group activities. But for many, especially those under SAMs or in the control unit, the 23-hour lockdown can last for years or even decades. Who ends up in this fortress? ADX Florence does not house ordinary criminals. It reserves its cells for terrorists, drug kingpins, gang leaders, spies, and inmates who have proven too violent or escape-prone for other prisons. Many arrive after committing serious assaults or murders inside lower security facilities. As of 2026, the population hovers around 405, with inmates drawn from across the federal system. Among the most notorious current or recent residents: Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the former Sinaloa cartel leader, serving life plus 30 years for drug trafficking, money laundering, and related crimes. Known for multiple escapes in Mexico, he is held under tight restrictions, reportedly in Range 13. He has described his conditions as psychological torment in letters seeking transfer. Jakar Tsarnaev, the Boston Marathon bomber, sentenced to death, reimposed after appeals, for the 2013 attack that killed 3 and injured hundreds. Ramzi Youssef, mastermind of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, long held in the highly restrictive Range 13. Terry Nichols, conspirator in the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing, serving 161 consecutive life sentences. Richard Reed, the shoe bomber, who attempted to blow up a transatlantic flight in 2001. Other figures have included spy Robert Hansen, deceased, Unabomber Ted Kaczynski, deceased, Eric Rudolph, and various organized crime leaders and gang figures. The common thread? These men are considered too dangerous to mix with the general prison population. Many face multiple life sentences or death, with no realistic prospect of release. The human cost and enduring controversies. While ADX Florence has succeeded in its core mission, no successful escapes in over 30 years, it has faced intense criticism for its effects on the human mind. Prolonged solitary confinement is linked to severe psychological harm: anxiety, depression, hallucinations, paranoia, self-harm, and suicide. Critics, including Amnesty International and the ACLU, argue that the conditions amount to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment, potentially violating the U.S. Constitution's 8th Amendment and international standards. In 2012, a class-action lawsuit known as Cunningham v. Federal Bureau of Prisons was filed on behalf of mentally ill inmates. The complaint painted a grim picture: prisoners wailing, banging on walls, mutilating themselves with whatever objects they could find, swallowing razor blades or glass, or smearing feces. Some had entered ADX without serious mental illness but deteriorated rapidly due to isolation. The suit highlighted failures in screening and treatment. A 2016 settlement brought reforms including better mental health evaluations, exclusion of many seriously ill inmates from placement at ADX, and improved care for those who remain. Yet debates continue. Recent lawsuits and reports note ongoing concerns, especially for inmates with pre-existing conditions transferred under special circumstances. The BOP maintains that ADX is essential for public safety and staff protection. It points to step-down programs, educational opportunities via television, and the fact that many inmates eventually earn transfer to less restrictive facilities. Supporters argue the alternative housing these men and general population would lead to more violence, escapes, or deaths of officers and inmates. Still, mental health experts and human rights groups continue to call for limits on long-term isolation, citing studies showing its pathological effects. No escape, no compromise. In more than 3 decades of operation, not a single inmate has escaped from ADX Florence. That record is no accident. Every design choice from the concrete furniture to the layered sensors and remote doors was made to eliminate vulnerabilities. The prison's reputation as the ultimate no-exit facility remains intact, even as technology and policies evolve. For the men inside, ADX Florence represents the final chapter in a life of crime. It is a place of perfect order and profound solitude, where time stretches in silence and the outside world feels impossibly distant. Whether viewed as necessary justice or a modern form of torment, it stands as a stark symbol of America's approach to its most dangerous offenders. This is the clean version of hell: sterile, silent, unforgiving, and inescapable.